Well, hello everyone, I am Fracture and this is Let's Play Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition on the PC with a few mods. This episode is probably just going to be selected scenes of me giving gifts and talking with the crew in camp. I don't think I'll make you watch it all. Everybody has seen this, I'm sure. If you haven't, well, you know, Dragon Age is a good game. Give it a play. So I have actually a gift guide open on my other monitor, and we're just going to empty my inventory of some of these gifts. A lot of them will just elicit a response of, thank you very much. And others will be more serious, and I will leave those till a little bit later. Let's see, I believe this one is Win. And yes, I don't know how much she likes this. Oh yes, I forgot how to do it. Here we go, we gotta go find Win, there she is. And then we give it to her.
A generous gift. Thank you ever so much.
So she's impressed with that. 10 is very good, actually. Same with the Rose of Orlais. Now, had I guessed, I would have assumed this was for me and names. I've only been playing this millions of times, Liliana. But it's not.
A generous gift. Thank you ever so much.
This one would be for Sten. So let's just see if there's anything else that Win would like. Doesn't look like it. No, I think we're good. You can see we don't have a huge number. Let's go to Sten. As we've already found, Sten likes lamb bones, beef bones, that sort of thing. The dog does as well, but the dog is already maxed out and always stays maxed out, so you really don't want to do that. Portrait, silver frame, still life, indeed. Sten, have a...
I am impressed. My thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. I never would have guessed. I believe this would be Sten. Yes.
Unexpected. Thank you.
And let's see. I also... Well, beef bone. Yes.
You have my thanks.
So he's not hugely overwhelmed by that, but he does like it. If you give him something they really have no interest in, you'll just get the 1 point. And they'll mention, oh, thank you, I suppose. Okay. Anything else, Sten? No, it doesn't look like it. Oh, hang on, what's that? No, we've already given that. So, okay. And let's see who else we have. Morrigan, of course, will be this. I'll give her that. I may hold off. Well, I guess there's not much need to hold off. This is kind of a key gift for Morrigan, as this is a bit of a key gift for Liliana. And I actually like holding off. There's no need to. I like holding off until she talks about her mother before I give her this. Then she kind of is impressed that, wow, I talked about it and you found a gift. And this might be Alistair. Yeah, Alistair likes the little statuettes and things. Yes, that is Alistair.
I could get used to this, you know.
I have to be careful with Alistair. I guess it doesn't matter turning him down flat. He has this rather embarrassing thing where he gives you a rose and he's kind of propositioning you. And of course, when I'm playing a female, and I just still find it creepy that I'm getting propositioned by a dude. So I think that's why I like the lesbian relationships. I get to play a female and get to look at a much more attractive rear end for the whole game, but then I still want to hit on women because I'm a guy, so it's all kind of confusing. Now, rope necklace, silver. Oh, I wouldn't have guessed, but it looks like Morrigan likes this stuff. Dragonstone. Is this Alistair? Stone dragon? Yes.
I could get used to this, you know.
So we're going to risk him hitting on us. This is his key gift. Morrigan also likes this. And she likes that. I think this is an anybody. I don't see these anywhere. Silver ring, silver bracelet. Yeah, it looks like this is a give to anybody gift. White rune stone, white rune stone. Sorry, this is why I'm going to be probably cutting this to ribbons. White rune stone. Where are you, white rune stone? Ah, there we are, Zevran. Alright, Zevran. White runestone, Zev.
You have excellent taste.
Yes, I know. Remarkable greenstone. Anything remarkable goes to... It's always in the last place you look. Of course it is silly. Why would you find it and keep looking?
Ooh, shiny.
Shale likes any of the remarkable stones that you find. Of course this is a key item for Alistair. We can go ahead and give him that. Small silver ring. Well, that looks like an anybody as well. Well, somebody that's going to kind of suffer because she doesn't like anything I do. Oh, that would be Zev. Let's go ahead and give Zev the gold bar. If I can find it again. Come on, there it is, small gold bar.
I shall treasure it. Thank you.
These, we don't have anybody to give the wine to yet. It's a shame you can't give gifts to yourself. Oh, thank you. I love it. Let's try that.
I am grateful.
Okay, she
'Tis
really
thoughtful
like
indeed.
that. And this would be Liliana. Person who wants those isn't here yet.
A fine gift. You
Yeah.
have my thanks.
I don't think she's going to particularly like these, but I'm going to throw them her way.
Interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, she didn't mind it. 3. Small silver ring here.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay. Diminishing returns. Tribal necklace. Surprisingly, I would have thought this was, well, kind of Sten. I mean, tribal, right? But
Interesting.
no. We'll dump it her way. Chantry amulet, I think, would be Liliana as well. Yep. Liliana, so hold off on that symbol.
That's a wonderful thought. I don't know what to say. That's a wonderful thought. I don't know what to say.
Okay, so that pretty much covers it. This one I want to wait, this one I want to wait. These 4, we don't have the person yet. And that last one, I want to wait. I'm not going to trigger any of those. So, oh, we got inspired a few things. Cool. And, you know, at this point, I was going to chat throughout the camp. Yeah, maybe I will. Let's go ahead and give Morrigan her key gift. You can tell I haven't really put much thought into this, but go ahead. Cutscene.
What? You found Flemeth's grimoire? Ever
Indeed.
since we discovered the condition of the Mage's Tower, I had wondered if it might be recoverable, but I had yet to speak of it to you. How fortunate that you found it on your own. You have my thanks. I will begin study of the tome immediately.
What do you hope to find within it?
Secrets. My mother has many of them, and this tome represents the one time that they were able to get away from her. I do not intend to squander this opportunity to learn more than Flemeth wished me to know. This should be interesting.
Cool. So since we did that, let's go ahead and trigger Alistair's. He's told us the story about throwing his amulet, so now's as good a time as any. Like I said, I'm a little worried I have to deal with him hitting on me, but...
This is my mother's amulet. It has to be. But why isn't it broken? Where did you find it?
I actually like giving him the amulet right after we found it, and we're standing right where we found it. And then you say, I found it in Redcliffe Castle in the study, and he's all surprised, and he just saw you pick it up. So,
Oh, the Arl study? Then he must have found the amulet after I threw it at the wall, and he repaired it and kept it. I don't understand. Why would he do that?
I think you'd be nice, you git. Well, it would be nice. Perhaps you mean more to him than you think.
I guess you could be right. We never really talked that much. And then the way I left... Thank you. I mean it. I thought I'd lost this to my own stupidity. I'll need to talk to him about this if he recovers from his... When he recovers, that is. I wish I'd had this a long time ago. Did you remember me mentioning it? Wow. Huh. I'm more used to people not really listening when I go on about things.
I'm sure. Sorry, did you say something?
Ho, ho, ho. See this gesture I'm making? Can you hear that?
All right. So I think you can get more approval if you hit on him. Oh, of course I did. You mean so much to me, but we don't want to go down there. And I'm going to wait for Liliana. I'm not going to give her her primary gift yet. So that looks like we did good a job. Well, let's start chatting up Liliana. Hey.
Yes?
I'd like to talk.
Well, here I am.
This vision thingy of yours.
I knew this would come up sooner or later. I don't know how to explain, but I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable darkness. It was so dense, so real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell, and the darkness drew me in.
So it's just a dream. Why say it's a vision?
I have had dreams. This was different somehow. When I woke, I went to the Chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rosebush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose. It was as though the Maker stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith.
Well, something's a stretch. I don't think it's a hand. That's just wishful thinking, Liliana. So if I want to romance her, I suppose I've got to be nice, but oh well, I don't have to be mean. Well, yeah. And that made you want to help me?
In my dream, I fell. Or maybe I jumped. I'd do anything to stop the blight. I know that we can do it. There are so many good things in the Maker's world. How can I sit by while the blight devours everything?
Yeah, I suppose I couldn't sit by either.
That is why you're a Grey Warden. Come, there's a blight to stop.
So yeah, I think if you just drink up her story, I'm sure you can get a little more approval.
Yes?
I'd like to talk.
Well, here I am.
What was
quiet.
life like?
It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in that stillness, I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my Chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, so they tend to be self-righteous.
When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools.
Well, what did you say to them?
What can I say to them? What they believe is what the Chantry says, and the Chantry is infallible, yes? Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the Chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now.
Nope, no you haven't. Oh, I guess you have. No, hang on. Sorry, foot got stuck on the accelerator there for a second.
Yes?
I'd like to talk.
Well, here I am.
What would someone like you be doing in Lothering's Chantry?
What is meant by someone like me?
Ah, here we go. Sanctimonious, preachy, like the other Chantry zealots. Okay, well, that's not going to get us any. You know, a beautiful, charming woman like yourself.
And there were no beautiful, charming women in the cloisters, you think? You would be wrong. There were many lovely young initiates in the Lothering cloister, all of them chaste and virtuous. It added to their mystique, because then they were forbidden, and forbidden fruit is the sweeter, no?
Well, what about your fruit? Is it forbidden, my little peach?
My fruit? I can't believe I'm having this conversation. But no, I did not take vows. The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
Affirmed?
We affirm our belief in the Maker, in Andraste and the chant, but other than that, there are no vows taken.
Why were you seeking safe harbor?
The Chantry does not pride, and you should. I desired time apart from the world. I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
There's a story to be had.
Yes?
I'd like to talk.
Well, here I am.
You are a traveling minstrel. Do you have any tales to share?
Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think.
Tell me about the Darkspawn.
Chantry law says it is man's pride that created the Darkspawn. In ages past, the mages of the Tevinder Imperium ruled much of the world we know. In their pride, they thought their magics invincible and imagined that they were greater than the Maker himself. So thinking, they invaded his golden city, planning to take it for themselves and depose their own creator. But they were impure and full of sin, and it is with the sin that they tainted the golden city, corrupting it forever. The Maker cursed them and cast them from his sight. Wherever they went, they spread the taint of their sin. Any land that was touched by the taint became blighted and would suffer no life. Instead, the Darkspawn arose to torment us and remind us of our hubris.
Do you know any stories from Orlais?
Of course, Orlesians enjoy telling stories. I shall tell you my favorite tale of Aveline, the Knight of Orlais.
Ooh, go ahead.
A long time ago, a girl child was born to a farmer. He had hoped for a son, not a daughter, and so he told his wife to abandon the child in the woods. Before the cold could claim her, the baby was found by a tribe of Dalish elves who took pity on the poor mewling thing and raised her as their own. Aveline, for that is what they called her, grew strong and quick and clever under the guidance of the elves. She learned to wield the sword as well as any man, could kill a deer with an arrow at 100 paces, and was as graceful on the back of a horse as she was on foot.
Continue, please.
Aveline's Dalish guardians saw that she could easily best any Orlesian chevalier in battle, and wanted to show the cruel humans the child they had left to die. They bestowed upon her a fine horse and armor, and sent her to prove herself to her people in the grand tourney. Now in those days, no woman was allowed to take up arms, let alone compete in the grand tourney, but Aveline kept her helmet on and was not discovered.
Go on.
Aveline won many events and gained the approval of the adoring crowd. Eventually, she came face to face with the knight Kaleva in the grand melee. Aveline had already bested him in the joust, and Kaleva was determined not to lose a second time. Out of desperation to regain his honor, Kaleva tripped Aveline and tossed her to the ground, ripping off her helmet as he did so. Silence fell upon the arena as Aveline was revealed. Kaleva declared the previous competitions invalid. A woman had taken part, and this was not allowed. But the crowd cheered for Aveline. Kaleva was furious, for he had lost to a woman and was now being shamed. Blinded by his rage, he forced Aveline to her knees. "Know your place, woman," cried he, and slit her throat.
Well, I was hoping for a happy ending.
The son of the king, Prince Freyan, was present. He recognized Aveline's skill and bravery and began to see the injustice done to the women in his land. When he was made king, he rewrote the laws of Orlais so that women could also become chevalier. He honored Aveline and knighted her after her death. And to this day, any female who is knighted reveres Aveline the Brave, for she is the patron of all women chevalier.
I've forgotten which ones. Do you know any Ferelden legends?
I know one, told to me by my mother a long time ago. It always chilled me to the bone. Maybe you have heard of Flemeth?
Flemeth? Morgan's mother was called Flemeth.
Are you sure? Was she the Flemeth of legend? Flemeth, the devourer of men? Flemeth, mother of witches? Flemeth, demon-touched, who dwells in the mists?
Well, she didn't really introduce herself as such.
Ferelden mothers scare their daughters with talk of Flemeth. They say that if you're bad, Flemeth will spirit you away and bind you to her forever. They also say that Flemeth mourns her lost beauty and will steal yours through your looking glass if she catches you.
Tell me the whole story.
Flemeth's beauty was known throughout the land. She had hair like unto a moonless night, skin as pale as winter's first snow, and eyes as beautiful and perilous as the sea. When she came of age, she came to the attention of the Lord of Highever, Conobar, and he took her for his wife. Conobar soon learned that his young bride had the gift of magic. He kept this a secret, for he feared that she would be taken from him. Flemeth stayed with Conobar for some years, and with his blessing she practiced her art. And then one day a young poet named Osen came to the castle. Flemeth was captivated by Osen's voice, and he by her beauty, and they fell in love. Flemeth longed to be with her true love, and she and Osen fled from Conobar's lands, seeking refuge in the Kokari wilds with the Chasing tribes. They lived there happily for many a year, till the day Flemeth received news that Conobar was dying and longed to see her face one last time. Flemeth's heart swelled with pity for the man who once was her husband, and begged Osen to return to Conobar's side with her. But when Flemeth and Osen entered Highever, they were captured by Conobar's men, and Osen was slain in front of Flemeth's eyes. Flemeth was imprisoned in the highest tower of the castle, there to await Conobar's judgment on her. Distraught at the loss of her love, Flemeth plotted revenge against her husband. She summoned a fey demon, intending for it to wreak vengeance on Conobar. But a spell went awry. The demon possessed Flemeth. Turning her into an abomination, the halls of the castle ran red with blood as Flemeth slaughtered Conobar and all his men. The last of Flemeth's humanity melted away, and at dawn she stole back to the wilds to plot and scheme for 100 years. They say she took to her side many Chasing men, and with their help begat her daughter witches, who even now prowl the dark places of the Kokari wilds.
Well, let's see if there's anything else. There was another story I wanted to hear.
Which one?
Do you know anything about the Dalish?
I have heard a little about how the elves gained their freedom from the Tevinter Imperium. When Andraste began her exalted march against the Imperium, the elves joined her cause to fight their masters. The great elven leader, Shatan, born in captivity, rose up to lead his people. he foresaw a future where the elves were free. Shartan was killed when Andraste was betrayed, but the elves continued to fight, eventually breaking free of the Imperium. The elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in the land of their own.
It didn't last.
The elves lived in the Dales for centuries. They resurrected the worship of the elven gods and would allow the building of no chantry. This angered the chantry, and the hostility between the two factions finally broke out in open war. The chantry says the elves struck first, but I do not know whether to believe it. The chantry declared a wholly exalted march against the elves, named for Andraste's similar march against Tevinter. During the exalted march of the Dales, the elven cities were sacked, and the elven state completely dissolved. Some of the elves bitterly accepted their fates and surrendered to human rule, living in the human cities as second-class citizens. But others, still fiercely proud of their heritage, refused to bow to the humans, and instead became homeless wanderers. There were the elves of the Dales, the Dalish.
What do you know about Andraste?
Andraste was the Maker's chosen. The Maker had long since abandoned the world when the sound of her singing turned his ear. Beauty, grace, and wisdom enraptured him, and he offered to take her from this flawed world to become his divine bride. But Andraste had an earthly husband and would not forsake him. Instead, she beseeched the Maker to return to his people once more. So earnest was her plea that the Maker was moved, and promised that he would create a paradise on earth if all abandoned their false gods and turned once more to him. And this is why Andraste began her exalted march on the idolaters of the Tevinter Imperium. The Maker granted her his powers with which to smite her enemies. Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victories converted many to the worship of the Maker.
How did Andraste die?
Alas, it was the frailties of men that betrayed and killed Andraste. Her earthly husband, Maferath, a chieftain of the Alamari tribes himself, grew jealous as his wife's popularity and influence overshadowed his own. She was also revered as the Maker's betrothed, and Maferath began to see their own bond waning in significance as Andraste became ever more devoted to the Maker. Out of envy and spite, Maferath made a pact with the Archon Hessarian of Tevinter, allowing his beloved Andraste to be ambushed and captured. Andraste was burned at the stake in Minrathous, the capital of Tevinter.
But Tevinter has a chantry, doesn't it?
The Tevinter chantry claims that in Andraste's last moments, Hessarian's heart softened, and he heard the voice of the Maker telling him to end her suffering. He plunged his sword into her heart, and as her blood washed over his hands, he became one of the faithful. Dissenters said that the Archon only converted because he could not stem the tide of Andraste's cult, and was forced to do so to stay in power. We will never know for sure.
Alright, let's move on. And let's take a look at the characters and if we've made any noticeable improvements on any of them. Alistair, yeah, we've definitely moved him forward, and of course Shales, center. I'm more worried if we've got anybody very low. And we don't. Morrigan. And of course, with the dog you can do no wrong. Lyanna, we've got a long way to go, and Zevran. Okay. Alright. So, I'm going to wrap this one up. Not my usual sign-off. I'm not even sure if I'm going to post this. If I do, well, then you'll know I'm wrong right here. Alright, so thanks for watching. And in the next one, we're back to normal, continuing on with the quests. See you then.